Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to Truth Seekers. Previously, we have covered some of the things that tonight's guest talks about. That would be his belief in the Nephilim and the fallen angels and the biblical evidence for some ancient mysteries. We're standing by waiting for him, has not arrived yet. So in the meantime, I thought that we could talk about some of his work. You may be familiar with L.A. Marzulli and his books. The link to check out his books is in the description of this video. Further, we have also, there is a link to his website in the description of this video. And also a link to his YouTube channel, which I highly recommend it. I've been sort of binge watching a lot of what he does. He has a series called On the Trail of the Nephilim. For those unaware, the Nephilim, or if you missed our previous coverage, the Nephilim are the sons of, they are the hybrid species that the Bible talks about. Apparently, according to biblical texts, the sons of God, the angels and fallen angels more specifically, they lusted after the daughters of men. They found them fair, desired them, and took them as wives. And the offspring of these sons of God, or the fallen angels, and the daughters of men were called the Nephilim, or the giants. It is an incredibly interesting subject to me. I grew up Catholic, and therefore I had 10 years of Catholic school. I was actually educated by Jesuit priests and nuns and brothers, and I had a great deal of scripture study. I always had an intense interest in angelic beings and the relationship between God and angels and men. It was always fascinating to me, of course, that God created the angels first and then created man. And that was always a bit puzzling to me because angels are immortal, spirit creatures, and men are mortal. And it just always seemed a little odd to me that you would create a mortal being after you created a bunch of immortal beings, angelic beings. So along with L.A. Marzulli's biblical studies comes physical, actual studies of real things. One of the things that fascinates me about him is his ability to go out into the field and do real work and real research. Now, one of the things that he is quite famous for is his study of the Paracas skulls in Peru. For those unaware, these are the elongated skulls that you often may see pictures of. Many people have claimed that these skulls or these beings came from aliens or alien hybrids somehow. But Mr. Marzulli has a different theory, which is supported both by biblical texts and evidence, biblical evidence, and apparently it is also it is also possibly now supported by actual DNA evidence. And that would be Mr. Marzulli points to biblical texts which show that the Nephilim were in the promised land, and some of the Israelites sent people to check them out, to investigate, and they found these giants, these Nephilim, these hybrid tribes of people. God ordered that the Nephilim be destroyed as an abomination. Apparently, God never intended for the sons of God, or the fallen angels, and the daughters of men to interbreed. God considered this an abomination, and ordered the Israelites and his people, his chosen people, to murder them all, which, I always have a little bit of a problem with God giving orders to do things like, you know, extinguish an entire species on a planet Earth. But one can understand if this was truly an abomination and never meant to happen, and an insult and affront to God, that he would tell his people to remedy that. So the Nephilim in ancient Israel, there's biblical supportive texts to these stories. Israelites and God's chosen people began to kill them. The brothers of David, one of the most famous biblical stories of the Nephilim is, of course, Goliath. David and Goliath. David slew Goliath. And apparently the brothers of David, according to biblical texts, went out into these tribes of the Nephilim and they killed them or began exterminating them. L.A. Marzulli has a very interesting theory, which is supported by some biblical texts, that the Nephilim, fearing for their lives and being slowly exterminated by human men, fled the promised land of Israel and the Middle East and went to, believe it or not, the United States and South America. Now, many people scoffed at this theory, or non-believers in the Bible or the biblical texts will tell you that, these are just stories. These are myths. These, this is not to be taken literally. Other people do take biblical text as literal truth or history. I'm a little bit on both sides of the fence on that issue, by the way. But it's interesting to note that L.A. Marzulli has done more work on these Paracas skulls. I'm going to share my screen here. More work on these Paracas skulls than any other person. Maybe him and Brian Forrest are both the most famous people who have actually went there and investigated. And interestingly, they were able to get DNA samples extracted. Here we see an image of what one of these people might have looked like alive. And this is a very fascinating story to me, because there's this physical evidence. Now, the critics of the Paracas skulls will tell you that this is all just cranial headboarding. However, it has been proven by, I believe, Mr. Marzulli and Brian Forrester and other researchers that some of these are not cranial headboarding. Some of these were apparently born and just grew this way. There is also some peculiar anatomical differences between these skulls and a typical, or quote, normal, unquote, human skull. And there is no sagittal sutures on some of these, which makes absolutely no sense. This is one of those things, like, this should not be happening. And also, you'll have to excuse me. I was hoping our expert, L.A. Marzulli, which, by the way, we're standing by waiting for him to arrive still. I was hoping that he could explain more of this. I'm not a biologist. I'm not that up on human anatomy, but there's also some peculiar differences. For example, where the spinal cord goes into the head in these skulls is a few inches off of where a normal human is supposed to have that opening. And there is much more to the mystery. Now, certainly, some of the Paracas skulls are most certainly created by cranial headboarding, but this does not explain others, which appear to be anatomically just designed to grow that way. And of course, people have related these to aliens, and because of their, I suppose, because of the way that they resemble a typical gray, big head, big eye sockets. This is just an interesting mystery to me, and Mr. Marzulli has done more work on this than most other people. Sorry, I'm just checking in with my phone. I'm not sure if he's having technical difficulties. Still not in our green room here, so I apologize for that. Sent him a message letting him know that the stream is live and we're waiting for him. Hopefully we didn't get our wires crossed. So what is it that fascinates me so much about Mr. Marzulli and his theories? Well, apparently Mr. Marzulli believes that some of these Paracas skulls, or the people in Paracas, may be descendants of the legendary and biblical Nephilim, the hybrid race of giants. And giants is a loaded term because of the Hebrew translation. Men of renown may be a better explanation than the use of the word giant. Though some of these Nephilim were rumored to be 8 or 12 foot tall, and interestingly, many have 6 fingers and 6 toes. I'm not sure what the significance of that, but there are also tribes of Native Americans who lived in fear of a race of cannibalistic giants, giant men who had 6 fingers and 6 toes. And in fact, the Native American greeting of holding the hand up, apparently, according to Mr. Marzulli and other researchers, was meant to show I have 5 fingers. I'm not one of those cannibalistic man-eating monsters. I'm safe. And that's interesting that an entire culture would have a greeting to show, hey, I'm not one of those 6-fingered, 6-toed cannibalistic monsters. So interestingly, Mr. Marzulli has apparently found a genetic link between some genetic evidence and a genetic link that may seem to indicate that some of the biblical stories of the Nephilim fleeing the Middle East to other areas of the world, fleeing for their lives while they were systematically being exterminated at the order of God, apparently, he may have found DNA evidence in the form of these Paracas skulls, which supports the biblical evidence that may be indeed exactly what these things are and what indeed happened. It's also interesting that Mr. Marzulli's theories go counter to many people in the UFO community. I just spent some time. He has a documentary, which you should check out, called The UFO Disclosure, The Great Deception. And apparently, Mr. Marzulli's theory on aliens and what they are is a lot darker than most researchers. In fact, I have not heard any other UFO researchers really push his hypothesis and his theory, which is that aliens are not otherworldly beings from other planets or other solar systems. They're not aliens as we would understand them to be, that is, intelligent, walking, talking creatures from other planets and other star systems, but rather that these entities are in fact demonic entities which are deceiving mankind and pretending to be technological gods. Now, before you dismiss that theory, I used to be very dismissive of that theory. But I have to say, the longer that I am involved in this research, the more I am starting to be open to different possibilities. Because as crazy as the theory that other intelligent entities somehow came from space and have been able to traverse the vast distances and travel light years to visit us here on planet Earth, I mean, that's pretty far out there belief, but many, many people believe that that's exactly what these UFOs are. Outer space people who have come from other planets. That's pretty out there belief, but many, many people believe it. Now, many Christians, and I've noticed especially fundamentalist Christians, fundamentalists are generally people who take the Bible quite literally. Many of them believe, as L.A. Marzulli does, apparently, that these creatures are not aliens from other planets, but in fact, demonic entities masquerading as aliens from other planets. Popsicle Ocean is asking, where is LA? I still don't know. I'm monitoring my email. I told him if he has any problem connecting to let me know. The only thing I can imagine is that we have gotten our, I'm going to mute this for a moment just so that I can send him another text. Okay, I apologize. So I let him know if he's having trouble connecting, and if he's monitoring this broadcast, Mr. Marzulli, if you're having trouble connecting, just call me on my cell phone, and I will just patch you in to the show that way. So the possibility is that theory crazy? I don't think so anymore. Especially the more that I have studied some of the people involved in this UFO world and seen how deceptive, manipulative many of the people are. It would almost seem correct to me that maybe demons or demonic entities are involved based on the number of people that I see who are deceiving people and stealing money from people, selling fake stories, right? Yeah. All right, so friends, we're going to take a short musical break. I'm going to call our guests on my cell phone and see if we could just patch him in that way. If he's having trouble connecting, that might be the best way that we could do it. Let me see if I could find I have a brake bumper here. I haven't used it in ages, so just bear with me, friends. I did have one. Maybe I deleted it, right? And then I apologize. All right, we're just going to play a musical guest. So I'll be right back. We're going to try to see if we can get this guest here. Please stand by.
It's time we cut these cords asunder. I think it's time we let this story end. I am wild and disconnected. I can feel I'm disconnected. Nothing's real, I'm disconnected. You can never touch me.
Greetings and salutations. So we are back. For better or worse, I got a call back from Mr. Marzulli. Apparently, he was on another show right now. And I'm not sure why we got our wires crossed, and I sincerely apologize. We had rescheduled this before to tonight, and I always put Eastern Standard Time, but apparently that was he's in California. So I apologize sincerely. Our guest is not making it, considering he's on another show for the UFO Congress that he's appearing at or something like. So I thought what we could do is just make this an open discussion then. And I apologize for lack of guests. I'm going to go and edit this. I guess I'll edit the title of the description. I don't want to mislead people into thinking that a guest is here when they are not. So I will just take out L.A. Marzulli interview and leave it as the Paracas skulls, the Nephilim, and more. Anybody who wants to come on tonight and have a discussion, I'm not ready to throw in the towel just yet. We roll with the punches here. It's a live show. That's what we do. And you can help me by becoming a part of the show. Otherwise, we will simply take questions and comments and have a discussion with the live chat, which is kind of something we have not done very much. I'm going to put the link to join the show in the live chat. And please wear headphones. And the one rule here is no nudity. And it's strange that I have to say that, but yes, I do have to say that. YouTube doesn't like naked bodies, so please don't stream in here naked. I happen to be visually impaired, and I wouldn't be able to tell very well. Oh yeah, and let me take a moment to thank the super chatters. We had Lee Bodge, I believe. One second, let me get back there. Way back in the beginning of the show. Let me try to get. We'll recognize those kind and generous people. This is a viewer-supported show, and people all over the world throw a few bucks in our hat to help us keep doing this great work. It was welcome to the show with a kind and generous 99-pound super sticker purchase. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. And let's see, who else did we have? We had one more here that I just saw. Denbub with a kind and generous $13.99 super chat. Very generous of you. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your continued support of the show. Both of these people are longtime show supporters. Thank you for supporting the show and for helping us to praise the cash, friend.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Yes, this is live, Single White Samurai, which is the problem. We were supposed to have our guest tonight, L.A. Marzulli, got our wires crossed somehow, and he was actually on another show to promote this UFO Congress that he is a part of right now, when he was scheduled to be here as well. So it's just a scheduling conflict. Gunner 65, yes, I have, and I get that you disagree with him. However, he can't be wrong about all of it, and he has been right about a great number of things, including getting the DNA evidence on those Paracas skulls, which may, in fact, literally rewrite human history. Because I really wanted him to explain this, but apparently the haplotype of the DNA of those Paracas skulls came back as Middle Eastern European, which makes no sense, because that would mean that thousands of years before Columbus, apparently someone from the Middle East or Europe made their way to Paracas, South America. Those people show DNA of Middle Eastern European people. How does that happen? They're separated by an ocean, and we're told by our actual, supposedly real history that these cultures never interacted. They were separated by an ocean. Have you read the studies, Gunner 65? Because I have, but I'm not a geneticist, but I've read the reports. Yeah, V says makes perfect sense and explains the red hair. Yeah, I absolutely positively agree with that. I think that it raises more questions than it provides answers for, though, V. Like how did these people get from the Middle East or Europe all the way to Paracas, South America, thousands and thousands of years before we're told that the people in the Middle East or the Europe even knew that a continent was there across the ocean? But I like this sort of combination of evidence. We have biblical evidence for the Nephilim fleeing their homes because they were getting slowly exterminated by David, King David, his brothers, his tribe were running around exterminating these hybrid beings, right? And it's a crazy mystery, right? Yeah, water on Manoa, we weren't allowed to cross the oceans. Andrubus is here and says, Truth Seekers, maybe the giants the Native Americans came across were Vikings. Not sure about the six-finger thing, though. Yeah, I just saw the Scott Walter America Unearthed episode where they looked for a Norse giant. And that was very frustrating to me because apparently Scott Walter found a guy in the middle of, I think it was Minnesota, who was doing some digging on his farm, and he found an 8-foot-plus tall giant skeleton. The state archaeologist came out because there were two other bodies, and they were all believed to be Native American, and you're not allowed to dig. So they covered all of the skeletons up. There was 3 of them, and then you're forbidden from digging there again. And the state archaeologist claims, no, this wasn't an 8-foot-tall giant. It was 5 foot tall. But this farmer was adamant. He saw it and said there's no way that it was any less than 8 feet plus tall. And Scott Walter's there, and he's there, and they're like, well, it's right here, but we're not allowed to dig it up again. I'm sorry, but if that was on my property, a mystery like that, I would not be able to not dig it up again, even if it was illegal, I think. I mean, just that kind of a mystery sitting right there on your property, right? World in Chaos said Lord Pi did great research. Rest in peace. Yeah, I agree with you somewhat, World Chaos. I think he was very passionate, but he was also a science denier. In other words, when the DNA came back with something showing, anomalies or something that supported his theories, he liked the DNA results. When it came back and said, no, this was just human and nothing else, no one he would argue with the scientists that they were wrong. And, I think to deny good science just because you have a theory is not a good idea. And I'm going to put it in the stream one more time. Invitation to join the show panel here. There you go. And otherwise, we're going to wrap things up. Honestly, I'm feeling a little under the weather today. For those of you, some of you know that I had a brain aneurysm. I woke up today with a splitting migraine headache, and I never get headaches, let alone really bad migraine headaches. And I mean a typical migraine. I knew it was some sort of migraine right away because I had a really hard time with light. Like light hurt my head. What it is, I don't know, but I'm feeling a little under the weather, right? Welcome to the show. Did Gufon drop a show last night? He wasn't on Alien Addict also. Everything okay? Yeah, I believe that he fell asleep. Rich has a tendency to do that. He's like, yeah, I know I had a show scheduled, but I slept through it. Sorry, guys. I'll do the show at midnight. That's what happened. Yeah. The Rogue Status is here to save the day.
Hey, what's up, pal? Good to see you.
Well, I was expecting somebody else, but I am glad to see you. Thanks for coming in here. So, what do you think of all this stuff?
Honestly, I just got here, but I caught the tail end of it. But I did see some very interesting things about where there's a few Native American tribes in our country, right? That they're like alphabet. When you compare it to like old Hebrew, is like exactly the same. It's
Really?
nuts.
That's
It's
interesting.
nuts. It's nuts, dude. Like, I mean, so how
Oh,
did
you
that happen?
you gotta send me some links to that stuff.
I will.
like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting that many Native Americans had no written language. You know, they did everything by verbal. You know, what is that? Like oral tradition. That's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what to think about some of this stuff, but the DNA evidence in these Paracas skulls is crazy because that would mean that somewhere thousands of years before we thought anybody got to the Americas, European and Middle Eastern people made their way to South America thousands of years before Columbus or anybody else, and that would explain.
I don't find that hard to believe at all. I mean, think about the human spirit of like to explore. You know, there's people doing it thousands of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know though. Do you have any experience on boats in the ocean? Because I've been on a boat in the ocean, a big sailboat, and it is scary. I couldn't imagine crossing over to Europe on a sailboat. That's crazy.
I mean, no, personally, I'm not a seafaring animal. Not at all. I belong on land.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you going to do, right?
But I mean, when there's a will, there's a way, right? I don't know. I find it hard to believe that. I don't know. History's just so suspect. You know what I mean? It's always very sanitized, I feel.
Yeah, and it is interesting. There is also a lot of evidence that anytime anything is discovered that goes against the Darwinian evolution, they cover it up, or there's all these if you look into it, there's all these newspaper articles about giant skeletons being found. And then somebody from the Smithsonian comes, and then it all disappears, and nobody knows what happens to it all. I want to look into that, and I want to get somebody from the Smithsonian on an interview because I want to show them all the articles that I've found throughout history that say a giant skeleton was found, and then the Smithsonian got involved, and then what happened to the skeleton? Nobody knows. According to them, they don't have any. But I've got 10 articles which state that they got involved and were studying the found artifact or skeleton, and then there's no giant skeletons on display at the Smithsonian Institute. They just disappear. They disappear.
Exactly right. See, I don't know. See, that's the other thing too. There's so many coincidences like that.
V says Smithsonian Men in Black is real. I think it is. From what I've seen, V. Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to say hello and good stream. I'll catch the rest of it later.
Yeah, we're going to bounce on out of here. So, all right, I'll throw you out of here. Thanks for coming.
Later, man.
We'll talk soon. All right, there we have Rogue Status chiming in. So, yeah, the Watcher says they destroyed all the bones. I have seen all these newspaper articles. You can look them up online where people find a giant skeleton. Suddenly, the Smithsonian Institute gets involved, and the stuff disappears. Now, certainly, some of that has to do with the laws and treaties concerning Native American burial sites, right? Toady UK, there exists a lot of photos. Look it up. If the skeletons were real, why did nobody photo them? There actually exists a lot of newspaper articles with pictures of giant skeletons, and like I said, the Smithsonian gets involved. They all disappear. He says hydrate, Stephen. Unplug, feel better. Yeah, I'm gonna go take a nap. I still have a little bit of a headache. I'm gonna go take some Motrin and take a nap. I'm hoping that it's just a weird, I get a headache like once every couple of years, but when I get a headache, I get nervous because, the one time I got a real bad headache, I ended up in the hospital for a long time with a brain aneurysm. And I'm always worried that there is another one, or, you know, something's going on. Yeah, and there wasn't many cameras at the time for the public back in the 1800s, for sure. Beck says they dumped those skeletons in the ocean. Holly Bagley is praying for me in my head in Yeshua's name. I'm feeling much better than this morning, though. I couldn't find any ibuprofen. I took some acetaminophen. I don't know if that does anything or did anything, but I do feel a little bit better. Just one of those weird things. Like, I woke up with a splitting headache. Some of you are aware that there's some drama-rama, and another show host said that, I don't know, they sort of lumped me in with another show that they're beefing with and all this nonsense, and they should look up they're just very misinformed, because I want everyone to be clear that I don't agree with Mr. Fister or Uncle Fester. You know, that guy's a piece of shit. And, you know, for people to sort of insinuate that I'm on that guy's side is completely and totally wrong. That is the show which doxed me, threatened me, harassed me, and I believe it was someone from their show who even came in our live chat here and made a bunch of threats. So I'm certainly no fan of that person. Sort of lumped me in with that guy. Wrong idea. And there's a lot more that I could say about that show in specific slagging me. Maybe they ought to stop licking UFO celebrities' assholes and do some real work before they comment on my level of talent. But, you know, it is what it is, right? Some jerk off that needs 3 co-hosts and all these people working for him to produce a show. I do it myself. You have no right to comment on my level of talent, pal, or what I'm doing here, because, you know, it's so funny. The guy has 3 or 4 co-hosts, I'm sorry. Is it 3 or 4? I don't know. And he's got to have 1 or 2 people to interview, or he can't do a show. And he's commenting on my level of talent when I'm a one-man army here. I book the guests, I do the graphics, I do the research, I host the show, I do the interviews, I do the graphics and the video editing and everything here, the social media promotion, everything. I do it all by myself. So for some jerk off who has an army, a literal, you know, what has he got? 5 or 7 people helping him produce his show? He's going to take a shot at me? Dude, why don't you? And by the way, that show's not doing so much better than me in views, considering that level of help that guy has. That's an awful lot of help, 3 co-hosts, right? And you gotta make sure, if you're this guy, that you gotta put your morals and your ethics in the literal trash. This is a man who has interviewed or gotten access to interview Lou Elizondo more than anybody. Hey, buddy, why don't you ask him what he did at Guantanamo Bay, right? Why don't you ask him some hard questions? Why don't you ask him, does he feel bad that TTSA, the organization he was a part of, scammed every investor and never gave any of the money back to the investors? Hey, why didn't he ask Lou Elizondo where the spaceship TTSA promised everybody was? And does he feel any responsibility to apologize to investors because he stood there on a stage while Tom DeLonge promised everybody a spaceship and never delivered, right? Ask some hard questions, buddy. Don't take shots at me, because I can go through your guest list. Oh, Deep Prasad. You interviewed Deep Prasad, right? Did you or did you not ask him about his company that he claims has millions and millions of dollars worth of investment that is a goddamn P.O. box? I'm sorry to tell you, Mr. Celebrity Show Host Idiot, but if your company is a P.O. box, you do not have millions of dollars of investments. That's a lie. You did 0 research on that guest, and you gave him the UFO circle jerk. Now, I haven't been through his guest list, but they do the UFO circle jerk to everybody. And it just so happens that recently, at least one of the co-hosts of his show grew a set of balls and asked one real question. And there was a big fallout from that, right? And now the Fister and this other UFO celebrity idiot interview show, they are going to fight. I believe they're fighting over Lou Elizondo. That's what I think, because look at their views when they don't have Elizondo, then look at their views when they have Elizondo. Oh, show with no Elizondo? Oh, okay, we get 1,500 views, which is not far off of my averages. Then they have Elizondo, 15,000 views. So is it any wonder that these two shows are don't go on that guy's show, they're assholes. Then the other show goes, don't go on that guy's show, they were assholes. They asked you a hard question. It's a joke. Here comes Sixth Sense.
Hey, what's up?
Greetings and
Yeah,
salutations.
I think that ticked them off there, what the Squidding had said there. Because apparently, I mean, and he said it during that last show too, that he pretty much supported, let's just say pretty much supported Lou. So that was like an insult that his co-host went ahead and just went the other way on him.
Yeah, how much you want to bet if Lou Elizondo goes on that show again? How much you want to bet that Squidding guy won't be there, or they'll be told to fire that guy because he didn't ask one real question?
Yes,
right?
Yeah. Get rid of him. Get rid of the opposition, because that's how Lou works. He will not go on to a show that has especially co-hosts against him, or the majority of the audience is against them. He wants the kiss ass people. I mean, face it, that's what it is. They're trying to.
He went on shows that had less than 1,000 subscribers. Meanwhile, he could go on Third Phase of Moon that has 700,000 or 800,000 subscribers, or Dark Journalist, which has 100,000+ subscribers. They've both said they'll be very respectful. We'll have a gentleman's debate. He won't do it.
No, of course not. No, then he'd have more enemies and more people that knew the truth of what he's like and what he's doing. And here's the thing. I was in the stream last night. Was it last night? Yeah. And I'm perfectly respectable, and and I thought everything was going pretty well. And then when he started going ahead and hitting, on Rich and you, and I was like,
what the hell do I have to do with it?
Yeah,
what the hell do I have to do with it?
Right.
And by the way, they said that one girl said, "Oh, that's not funny." That's one person's opinion, and no offense, but art is subjective. Look at the comments to that video that they were saying he's not funny. Everybody in the comments was like, "Oh my God, this was so funny. I pissed my pants. Oh my God, this is hilarious." So I'm sorry if they don't like it, but why don't they get up off their ass and do some sketches instead of just sitting there? All that show has is talk. They have no research, nothing.
See, Saturday Night Live can do this all day long, and nobody has a problem with it. Well, some people will, obviously, but see, I'm not a fan of SNL because I just don't like it. But George Carlin, perfectly fine. I mean, has he ever said, hippie bitches? I thought that was the most messed up thing. I'm trying to hold my language.
Oh yeah. Well, this is important for those unaware. I think somebody insinuated either Rich or I called women bitches or something, and the only women I call bitches are the girls. Brian. Anyway. I call a couple of my friends from that one time I was abducted by aliens. I joke with them and I call them crystal hippie bitches. They laugh about it. They think it's funny because they are crystal hippie bitches. I'm not insulting them. They're my friends, or I'd like to consider them friends. Whatever.
And they totally took it like that, and that's why I said it's non-factual. What you said is non-factual. Granted, look, it's okay to have your opinion. Hey, that's perfectly fine, but don't say things that aren't actually real, or state them as your opinion. This is my opinion that I didn't really like this, and I could see in that girl's eye there. I don't want to say her name. But
no, I will. It was UFO Jane.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know her, and I've never checked out her show. But apparently, they needed a female show host, so she got a job there. Okay,
diversity.
I'm not funny, but I didn't get my job because I have boobs.
You could see her like going, oh, give me a chance. And I mean, that's what I got from it. And here's the thing, I was respectable the whole way through, and actually all the way to the end, and but I didn't hold back from saying, wait a minute here, what's going on with this? And and we do have some people right here even today that stood up for you guys and said, wait a minute, that's not the way they are. And the thing is look, you could go ahead and say that, and then they'll just mute you or ban you and stuff, so you don't poison their little audience and stuff, So you got to kind of word it a certain way, I guess, and that's unfortunate. I mean, granted, look at you.
Oh, look at this. Capsa says, Lewis said, with no shame, his research is the interviews. Yeah, he did a great job asking Deep Prasad about his fake quantum computer company that he claims he's got millions and millions in investors for. That's a goddamn P.O. box, or was run out of his college dorm for a time. That guy does not have a company. It's a joke. He is a joke.
You know, how often does it happen that these people just come out of nowhere? I mean, granted, look at, he's got what, 17K or something following. I don't know how he managed that, but I haven't seen him. And, the most recent that I seen them before, and I just seen a mention of them, was probably a couple weeks ago. Other than that, I don't have no idea who these people are. Nor I thought Jane actually looked familiar, and I don't know where I seen her before, but to say that the UFO girls there were upset with it, that's just bullshit. Yeah, and they were all for it.
And
I mean,
by the way,
they loved it. They loved it.
While he's bitching about Pfister being misogynistic or nasty to women, I was one of the few people that supported them when all that stuff originally started happening. And then I said, we did a joke thing about it, the Coochie UFO controversy. But I said I support women. If you can't compete with them, don't cry, And then we made a joke about it with the Trixie thing.
Right, that's wrong.
So this guy is going to slag me or include me in his bitch fest. I'm supportive of those women. I came out in there and defended them when people were doing that shit.
And that's the thing. I went and I watched that whole video earlier today. I watched it just to go ahead and see what their reaction was. They totally enjoyed it. And here's the thing. If you have questions whether they were insulted or not, ask them. Ask them.
Exactly, yeah.
That's just such bullshit.
Yeah. Now I don't know. I don't know this Artemis very well, but I'm friendly with her, and we're okay. I think. I never said anything about her boobs or whatever, and I support her hosting a show, boobs or no boobs. I don't care about I care about the information that they're presenting. I don't really care about their appearances. Right. And Kelly, I think I'm okay with. I joked with her and supported her, and it's just drama though.
Yeah, and that's it. But that's what I'm trying to bang around in my head. For what reason would they have to even go that way? Sure. I mean, look at. There's enough information out there to see what Fessler's been doing. I mean, anybody can search it. I mean, can they find the exact stuff? Well, hopefully they can. I'm sure that it's around there somewhere. But for what reason did he go ahead and attack you and Rich? For what reason? I don't know.
Well, I think he needed the dirt on Fessler, so I can almost understand Rich, but he said a lot of mean stuff about Rich too, and
but that's it.
He's the worst guy in this or something, or the most toxic or something. Vile. He's so vile. Yeah.
Here it is, Fessler. I mean, in my opinion, I'm going to say it like that. In my opinion, Fessler is probably one of the most vile channels. I mean, and I'm going to include the audience that supports them, and maybe that's wrong. But the thing is the people that support that kind of hate, and vile hate and just disgusting. I mean, you can't even repeat the words. I have to hold them accountable. I mean, if you support that kind of shit, well, guess what? You're going to be like he tried to do with you. You're going to be grouped in with that. Here's that's the thing though. They can say, oh, well, I only go there because I want to see what he has to say. Okay, that might be a fair argument. But when you join in on the hate and the vile talk, you got no excuse for that. And that's the thing. If you look at the chat that they've done, I mean, I don't think there's any rules on what anybody can say. And that's the thing, though,
and you have to subscribe in order to even go in his chat.
Oh, is it subscription only now?
Yeah, and everybody that's in that chat is a moderator, every single person. But we did that sort of. We had to pull back on that. But
yeah, that's.
I think the whole thing is kind of ridiculous, and as far as this Pfister guy, I don't know how he still has a YouTube channel when he's on public live streams telling people to crowd strike channels he doesn't like, when he's on public live streams telling people to go after these people, make them pay. Like, I don't get it. And doxing everybody.
You got to wonder what's happening behind the scenes. I mean, and that's speculation, but really, you got to wonder what the hell is going on. How is he able to do this stuff and blatantly with no care in the world and still have a channel? I don't understand that neither.
I want to take a moment to thank Popsicle Ocean for a kind and generous $10 super chat. Says Anjali is a Nephilim. Well, that's a better explanation than her story, maybe. So yeah, I think you're probably right. Thanks for helping us praise the cat.
You're watching Truth Seekers. Praise the cash, praise the cash.
Thank you for your kindness, Popsicle Ocean. And that reminds me, Sixth Sense, that show host Fister went after me for using those bumpers I just played. And he told everybody to crowd strike my channel, get me taken off of YouTube because I wasn't allowed to use a child on an adult show. But we looked into it, and Conan O'Brien uses children on his adult show, and Jimmy Kimmel and all these other people. The rule is you can't expose them to any adult content. He films that in a room by himself with me, and he doesn't even know what's going on in the show. We've got Lord Ludicrous joining us, and As the Willow Grows.
It's Steph.
Stephanie, yeah, how you doing?
Good. I just want to comment on the crystal hippie bitches because I'm one of those, so I can testify. Like it's just it's funny. Like,
I'll call you a crystal hippie bitch too, because you are, honey.
I will wear that loud and proud. I don't give a shit. You know, it is what it is. Like it's people just take things a little too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want to put my 2 cents into that. And you're just an awesome show host. I mean, you're incredible. Just to have me on, and it's like I just want to tell everybody. I know it's like kind of hard for Steven, like, in general, just to have like I guess you can say a psychic or a tarot reader, but at the end of the day, it's all fun. It's all entertainment. It's nothing should be taken seriously. Yes, the advice that I give to everybody in the chat, it's from the heart. It's not like out of my ass. You know what I mean?
No, I think you did a great job, and
you did.
I thought a lot about it, and like I will never ever let somebody bully me into deciding. Not that I did. It was just kind of like we were both sick of the drama. Every time Stephanie would come on, this other show would start bitching and crying and start all this shit and cry and. So we just went, forget it. We're not going to do this. And she got busy and whatever. But, if I want to have a guest, I'm just going to have the guest. And that's the way it's going to be.
You know what it almost looked like? It almost looked like he was doing the same thing as Fessler was doing. Trying to cut down other channels for what? For what reason are you doing this, And he tried to pull this deal where he was on Rich's show. So that shows that Rich supports him and what he's doing now. Which, I mean, he condemned him for it. Where do you get that shit from,
Yeah, and those two had a huge falling out, so they're not, and that was the other thing. I felt like it was misleading for him to put me up on the screen and talk about me too, like I was on that guy's team somehow or on his side somehow, and I'm an asshole too.
I think that was the intention. That's what I got from it.
Well, I said my piece. You know what? I'm glad they did that to him, though, because it's never good to punch down. And I wanted to bitch about that guy, but I thought I'm not going to give him the attention, and now we are. It's kind of stupid. But, but now that they've done it, good for them. They punched down a lot. And, I don't know. I think that the tides are turning. You can only do so many dickhead things for so long before people start turning on you, saying you're a dickhead. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you dox people that you disagree with. You're a dickhead. Oh, you harass people. You threaten people's family and wives. You're a dickhead. You're a dickhead.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny to me too is like, I'm sorry. You know what's funny to me? We'll let Lord doxing. Yeah. Oh, it's not doxing. But look, you know what's funny to me is this guy fat shames people.
Oh my God.
He boob shames women, calls them sluts and whores and all this.
Wow.
This guy is a gay man. What would happen if people started busting his balls for being a gay man? Right?
Yeah.
He would lose his goddamn mind, right? Mr. Social Justice Warrior. You can't call me gay. That's discrimination. You can't call me the F word or, you know,
In
whatever.
Florida.
But somehow he's able to keep calling a fat guy fat and women sluts constantly.
Oh my God.
And that's just okay. And dox people that he disagrees with and all this other stuff. And that's just okay somehow. And apparently it's okay with his audience. They're egging him on. Dorothy Hawkins with a kind of generous $2. Thanks for discussing this issue
Praise the cash.
in ufology. Praise the cash. Yes.
Praise the
Praise the
cash. Shows some
Lord
kind of
Ludicrous.
anger, right? You know,
I didn't mean to talk over you, Lord Ludicrous. You have the floor. You have the floor. Go, buddy.
The man justifies it by saying, here's the definition for doxing and da-da-da-da-da. I didn't give anybody's bank account number. I didn't do this. Well, you did everything except that. You know what I mean? Like, just because the definition says doxing includes turning over bank account numbers, calling employers, stuff like that, and you didn't do that, doesn't mean you didn't dox somebody that didn't want their information out there. You know?
Logan. Yeah, you're right. And
In my case,
they said they didn't dox me because they did not release my actual physical address. They just released my legal name and my street name. Like, it's not going to take Sherlock Holmes to Google those two things and find my physical street address. You dummy. Yes, you did.
They knew that, and they knew that. That was the whole intention. And that's the problem with that's harassment, digital harassment. You can't do it with the intention of harming somebody, whether that might be financially or physically, you know, or even mentally. I mean, you just can't do that. That's against the law. I mean,
well, they argued. They spent 5 minutes or 7 minutes on how Lou didn't technically say he was faceless bureaucrat, so that means that he wasn't. He didn't completely, you know, he didn't deny it. He didn't say he was, so therefore he's not. I mean, you got to look at it.
I think he all but admitted it.
Are you kidding me?
How I listened to that, he all but admitted it. He didn't say, yes, that was me, but he started justifying all of faceless bureaucrats' actions, justifying all of that. And what is a grown man doing with a bunch of fake accounts arguing with people that talk shit on him? That is so childish.
Well, that's
former intelligence officer.
He forgot to log out a faceless bureaucrat, and some people have the screenshots of where he had to switch back in real quick and try to fix it.
Yes, he tweeted as Lou Elizondo on the faceless bureaucrat account by accident several times.
Yep.
And people screenshot. People screenshotted it.
So what's that to say that he, I mean, and of course this is speculation. What's that to say that Lou didn't go ahead and do all this behind the scenes shit and get these people to do this to shut y'all up? Because it clearly, look, it's the people that are talking about him, which is a small group of people. How do the ones that are talking about him get all the fucking grief? Oh, excuse me.
That I don't know, but it's like, look, in the UFO community, we need to just stick with the UFOs and the aliens because that's way more interesting than people bickering like little girls. You know, and this guy, I don't know who you guys are talking about. I just know from what Steven's saying, but you know, at the end of the day, when people talk crap about others or in general, is one, they have low self-esteem, two, they're projecting on how they actually feel inside and they want to just make themselves feel good. At the end of the day, we live in a world of duality, right? So there's always like the negative and the positive side of everything. And it's inevitable. Like as much as we want to continue on talking about UFOs and talking about aliens and stuff like that, there's still going to be a nasty side of it where people want to have fame out of it, right? So if they find something really awesome, it's like, oh, they want to go ahead and like make it known and like be famous for it. But that's not what this is about. We're in really crazy times in life right now. And there's going to be more crazy sightings, I feel like, as time goes on. And it's going to be very inevitable. And just the fact that Steven actually brings out the truth of it all and shares it with us is awesome.
Good or bad. I always say this. Sometimes the truth is ugly, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Right.
Which we appreciate that 100%.
Yeah, look who's left untouched with all this. You know, all the biggest frauds in ufology, they're totally untouched by this. You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Doesn't it seem like that was the intention of all this? Throw a wrench in all these guys' little group here. You know, throw a wrench in there, cause some chaos. You know, and that I can't get by thinking that is the actual case. That it was intentional that they caused all this little high school drama shit. Yeah,
Right.
and I totally agree with you there, Willow.
Yeah, and the other issue is that, you know, I thought a little bit about this. Like, why would a show host and all their co-hosts go doxing people that are critical of one of their guests? I think that they were trying to show that guest, like, see, we're in your corner. You should come and be our buddy and be on our show all the time, so we get all those clicks and views. So we're going to do all this shady shit to attack your critics, so you don't have to, because we know you can't do it publicly, but we can go after those assholes for you. Well, not that everybody was here, but you know what I mean. And now we have UCR and Pfister both basically trying to show Lou Elizondo why they shouldn't go on each other's shows anymore, because
Do you
they're
think
fighting over
that's
him.
why it is? I mean,
They're
just
fighting over him to get those clicks
Oh,
and views.
God.
That's what it is. They,
Yeah,
look at, they got, generally, I think the Pfister, he's good for like 500 or 600 views without a huge guest like Lou. He gets Lou and has, you know, 15,000 views. Of course he wants him on his show every day. Pfister's whole show has turned into the Let's Lick Lou Elizondo's Ass show. That's what his show is. Every
Not
single show. Lord Ludacris is back. He bounced out.
Not the
Yeah,
boots.
sorry about internet issues. Yeah, he shouldn't rename his show the Lou Elizondo Show.
It's every night. It's every night. Maybe. Well, listen. At the risk of getting myself in trouble, Pfister is a gay man. Maybe he's in love with Lou Elizondo and really does want to lick his asshole. That's what I think. And I'm allowed to have speculation as to why all this is happening.
Right.
Love does strange things to people, right?
That's true. You're not wrong about that. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, this is gonna be over, and then all this crap is not gonna matter later on, and then it's gonna be another, you know. But I do want to go back on what the show was about earlier. I think that's really interesting with the Nephilims, because I know with the Book of Enoch, they talk about the Nephilims and all that. I haven't dived into it, but I really want to. And it's just very interesting, you know, way back in the day, how these beings used to roam Earth. And who knows? I don't know if it's true if they still roam, but it's like, even if they did, like, I think humanity would go apeshit if that was so, to see something like that. I don't think humanity would be able to handle that, just because of the way that we've been living for so long, you know, without them. So
yeah, the Book of Enoch is interesting. Popsicle Ocean says, and I agree. I think that the apocryphal books, or the so-called lost books of the Bible, those are the books that at the Council of Nicaea, for those that don't know, all of the Christians got together and decided this is going to go in our Bible and this scripture is going to be taken out. I think the ones they took out are far more interesting than the ones they put in. Like the Gospel of Thomas is a perfect example, because that's one of the books they took out. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus talks about, don't have a building, don't build churches, don't build temples, worship outside in nature. That's what Jesus said. So of course they got to take that out, because if there's no church, there's no church donations.
there's no money.
There's no excuse to constantly be begging for money, right?
True.
You know, what was that group of people that used to tie their heads and they would make it look elongated? I can't
There's
recall
a lot
what
of different cultures that did that. Some in Africa, some in South America. Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's it. See,
There's
the thing
ones
is
that did it
every time I think of them, I always think of the people that did that. Yeah, I think Africa was one of them that had done it.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
I can't get that out of my mind every time I see the pictures of the Nephilim or the elongated heads. So, and of course, that's the argument that I've noticed anyway. So, I mean, could they have been? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look at run DNA. They can't do DNA on these things, or have they? Have they done DNA testing on the elongated heads?
On many of them, they have, and see, part of me is like, when you hear the DNA results, part of it is very disappointing, because I always wanted them to do the DNA and find out that there's some kind of alien DNA in there that they can't explain, but that didn't happen. It comes back human, but what was interesting is that the haplotype, or race type, comes back as Middle Eastern European in South America, in skulls that are thousands and thousands of years old. That's crazy. That means that, according to the DNA, European Middle Eastern people had to migrate from the Middle East or Europe all the way to South America thousands of years before Columbus. That rewrites human history.
Totally. Well, in the Catholic Church, isn't it true that like there's so much more information that they don't want to share either? Like in the
Yeah,
Vatican,
what do you think? They have the whole they have an
you
archive
know?
in the Vatican for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like interesting. I'm like, man, it's like there's just so much more information than meets the eye, and for some whatever reason they don't want to share it to us. It could be that maybe if we knew the information, we'd become more powerful as a human being than they want us to be. So that's another thing that I feel like is kind of weird, that they withheld a lot of information from us, including, like you said, with the Nephilims, and how like these books have that information, but they don't talk about it, they don't teach it, in churches. So I don't know, it's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, they've got quite a lot of they have, I think it's 10 stories underground.
Oh wow.
And it's environmentally controlled so that the books stay perfect. They're at the perfect temperature and humidity and all of this stuff. 10 stories deep is the Vatican archive, full of historical information, historical books, all kinds of secret knowledge, I would assume.
Where does this connect in with the Templar Knights? Is that even the same religion?
Yeah, it is the same
Knights
religion.
Templar, I'm sorry.
The Knights Templar got too much power, and one famous pope owed them way too much money, so he suddenly decided that they were demonic and Luciferian and ordered them all killed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How much of the information, I mean, as is said, how much of the information was held back, or nobody else can see it? I mean, and that's at least the story that I got from the Knights Templar.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We don't know what they're not sharing, right? Only the people that have access to these archives, full access, know, and that's very few people, even within the Catholic Church. There's archivists. Yeah, there's archivists that work there, and I even heard a story that they compartmentalize the archivists so that they don't get access to everything, just their little section. So they might have a little section that they maintain, but that's it. They don't get to roam around and read the rest of what's in there.
But you have to
they run like
or something like that, no? Like with the Vatican, I'm sorry to cut you off. To be like sworn in, like how like to become a priest or whatever, to be up there, you have to like promise that you can't say anything too. Because I remember hearing this guy saying that he was going in there and like actually wanting to become a priest himself, and like he got out of it because it got too crazy. Like it got too weird after a while, and like he was about to like get the keys to get into those books, but he couldn't because it was just too much for him. Like the energy and like everything that he was going through and all the information they were telling him, like it was just way too much. Like kind of evil, I guess you can say. I don't know,
Sure.
something like that, and along the lines of that. But I'm not sure if it's true or not. But that's what I heard.
I can say from what I've researched and just the stuff that I've watched about it is like with the Vatican, it's like a FOIA type situation. Like you have to request what you want to read. They get just that material. You sit down and they give you like 2 hours. You can't take anything with you. Sometimes you can't even take notes. And I mean, this is just from people that I've watched on TV that have talked about, and people that are, you have to have like a doctorate in, you have to have a reason for being in there, for studying it. They don't just let people go in there, like a presidential library, just look at stuff, the deep stuff. You have to have a specific reason for it. It has to be requested, signed off on, and all that stuff. It's wild.
So what would be the purpose of holding that information back from people? I mean, you'd think that if this is something extremely, apparently as historical, that everyone in the world should have access to it. What is the reasoning?
I agree. I don't know.
It could just be that it's information again to
power and control.
Humanity, yeah, it's like that, and then to humanity in a certain way. Because if we knew the information of where we really, what happened back in the day, and what we really are as human beings, then it's inevitable. Then they won't have that type of control anymore. The whole point of religion, for the most part, is to control you, is to get you in a mode of like, in fear, and that's, for me, that's what I got out of the church, right? And I think that's also too,
yeah. Do this or you do this or you're not making it to the afterlife, kind of thing. I always found that was offensive. At least for me. I mean, for other people, it's a beautiful thing, and that's okay. That's okay with, if that's what they believe. I mean, I myself, I need proof. I need proof for stuff.
Right.
I just can't say,
There's
okay, this is.
I was gonna say there's a cool documentary about Tesla and all his stuff that got shipped back over to where he was born, his home country, and it's kind of treated like the Vatican. Like there was I think Netflix or Discovery went one of these, and the guy went,
Yeah,
he
the
would only let
secret
him see
Tesla
certain
files.
materials. Yeah, that was awesome. But that's a lot of the way, like how the Vatican is he had to request specific things that he wanted to read, and there was somebody there, and yeah, thank you, Stephen. That was really cool. Tesla Files is really cool. If anybody's not ever watched it, it's pretty nifty.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a lover of books and especially old books and secret knowledge. So I think I would have an orgasm if they let me in there. I'd cream in my pants like, oh my God, all this stuff about fallen angels. Good.
That's
Can't be
wild.
saying stuff like that, Steven. People are recording this shit.
Oh, I know. They're going to hold it against me. They're going to say that I'm insensitive to the Catholic faith or something,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, hey, at least another channel got the wrath of the Fessler. The channel that tried to always stay in the middle. Now they get to see what type of person that Fessler always is.
Oh, I fully predicted they're going to go. They are going to go after those guys big time. That's what I think. Based on what I've seen,
will end up. He'll get doxxed, I'm sure. I mean, that poor guy, all for asking a question and saying that he felt disrespected and that Lou was lying. All that nonsense over just that. Can you imagine?
I know, it's kind of ridiculous. I just can't even imagine. It's kind of like, I've had a lot of different guests on my show here, and once in a while somebody will say something really mean and nasty about a guest I've had, or to me, like, how dare you have that guest, and here's what he did 20 years ago, and I don't like that. But I would never go start doxing those people or harassing them or attacking them. I just go, sorry, I didn't like the guest, Tune in next time. Maybe you'll like the next guest. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
The only way to fight that battle is with facts, actual real facts, not this. Oh well, I think they meant this. I think they meant that. I think that this loose. Anybody can interpret it any way they want. Show the facts. It's the only way to beat these kind of people. Is I mean, and are you really beating them when they never actually go away?
That channel doesn't operate on facts. Their facts are reading between the lines and this is what he said. They think that what Lou said about stepping
they
away,
add things.
Cattle mutilations, Lou stepping away because of people. He thinks it's because of everybody else. He doesn't.
Yeah, I've noticed that about
their type of show.
Every time. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Every time that Lou Elizondo says anything, there's all these people there to read the tea leaves. Well, what he really meant was this.
Yeah.
But he can't say that because of his NDA, or he's trying to drop these breadcrumbs. No, he's not. Just say it, bro.
Yeah. And didn't Lou mention something about that there's these well, he pretty much insulted people. These people that really don't know what they're talking about, and they're taking my words out of context and saying that I meant this. No, I did not mean this. I mean, it was not too long ago that I seen him in an interview where he was speaking of that. And it's like, dude, you're the one that caused all this shit, You're the reason why they're doing this, and apparently that escapes them somehow, like you don't know what's happening.
Lou's Army. He calls himself Lou's Army, right?
Are you kidding?
They because he can't stick up for himself, so we have to do it for him. Jesus Christ, the man was part of Guantanamo Bay and God knows what torture programs and shit like that. He can't handle somebody asking him.
Yeah, he said something about that. Like, I spent half my life destroying people. Nice guy,
Yeah, you're right. He did say that. And this is what I kind of wonder. People that are outside of the United States obviously don't have to follow United States laws, although there is some, crossover in international laws between countries. I think the reason why some of these people do this shit is because in their country it isn't illegal. Here it is, so they're free to do whatever they want. Which is why I wonder: does YouTube look at this and say, well, it's not illegal in their country to dox people. It's not illegal to insult, to blatantly harass somebody, so we're not going to take their channel. I mean, I kind of wonder that.
Well, did
This
you
is-
listen to the?
This
to
is
the Hill?
interesting, Mark. I'm sorry. Mark is saying that there was long drawn out dead air on Pfister's show last night, and this act didn't show up after the hateful messages about lose weight, and Rob wouldn't show his face. That's interesting.
Yeah, right. I just want to say, and
Oh,
and this
yeah.
is
Yeah, that's
Rob
true.
had his email up and he took it down. I just wanted to notice that. And the thing is because he's afraid to get doxxed himself. You know, and that's the only reason I can see. Why did you take that down away from your YouTube page? You know, I did notice that, and I did see it before. The
Well,
thing
you
is
know,
I'm not sharing that with anybody. I don't, and
That's
I'm not
interesting.
interested in sharing that with
you know,
anybody.
one thing that I should put on the record here is that this other show and his co-hosts doxed me, doxed Manny, the guy who created the Who's Lewd documentary, doxed Dark Sky Files for disagreeing with them, harassed Rich, said that everybody should CrowdStrike him, said everybody should CrowdStrike me, and all this other stuff. And people are replying to Lou Elizondo's Twitter threads, showing him screenshots of them doing all this. So if he goes on that show again, he's endorsing all of that behavior, and I believe that he wants them to do that to his critics.
He even tweeted that though. He says, look, if there's a problem, show it here. And there was a thread that he has on his Twitter. I'd have to search for it right now. That he said, if there's a problem with all this trauma stuff, show me what people are doing. And that's the thing. People are showing them exactly what's happening, and he apparently don't care. You know, and he still supports. Still, even after all that stuff that he was shown, he still tweeted Fessler's channel. You know, I mean, what? Did you even look at the shit, or don't you care?
And all of this doxing and harassment and threats and
it's
all of this stuff happened after his first appearance there. And then everybody shows Lou Elizondo all the proof and evidence that show host and his idiot co-hosts did all of that. He goes on the show again. After, it's all in his Twitter threads. People showed them. They doxed Manny's girlfriend with the information that they got from false copyright strikes, which is completely against terms of service and illegal. It tells you when you get that information that this is for legal purposes only, not to be used for anything else. They took that information from Manny's girlfriend's name and address and all of that, and doxed her publicly.
You know, what's funny is they use UCR, and they made sure to do it right at 9 seconds because they were scared to death that they were going to get copyright struck. You know, doing a rebuttal to with Lou, and it's like, you made a big deal about using people's information, you know, their show stuff without their permission.
Oh no, this idiot Rob Heatherly told me that they're allowed to steal. They literally have stolen news reports about UFOs from all over the world and just posted them on their YouTube channel as if they own that content, and it's all monetized. That's against the terms of service. That's not fair use. You can't just take a news report from some local television station and, you know, let's say Austin, Texas, somebody saw a UFO and there's a local news report. You can't just take that and put it on your YouTube channel and monetize it. That's against the terms of service. That's not fair use. And it's stealing ad revenue from the people who actually own the content. But this idiot Rob says, oh no, that's fair use. You're allowed to do that, but you can't take a show's, that's our intellectual property. You can't take our intellectual property while they're stealing intellectual property from all these news organizations. It's ridiculous. And why is that channel still up? It's crazy.
I don't know.
I mean, it would ultimately be up to whomever the copyright holder was to you know, make a move.
Maybe they're not aware. Yeah, maybe they're not.
Maybe they're just not aware of it, right? Yeah.
Well, hey, I was going to say this on a side note. Has anyone seen the article that The Hill did? It's got John Greenwald Jr. in it. It dropped today. It's on YouTube. It's really good, but it's got like the DNI or somebody in it, and they're talking about going to Congress to collect data on all this stuff, right? And the first thing that popped in my head was Skyfort, because that's what Skyfort does. So I was just saying, watch the Hill article. It's like 9 minutes if you go on there on YouTube. It's got Greenwald. But yeah, they talk about.
I did see that today. Yeah,
they want to present it with Congress, right? Oh yeah, I think it's awesome that Greenwald's on there. But it made me think of Skyport because they're wanting to do the same thing. Take videos from citizens, upload it, and it'll tell you if it's a UFO or not. Well, all that data goes to somewhere. You know, it's all part of data collection. I think that they're doing that to make sure that their projects and stuff don't get recorded.
I
Or
forgot
to
to ask.
catch, you know, Chinese spy,
Yeah.
drones or whatever you.
Chinese
or
and Russian
multiple things
drones,
and
sure.
shit
Yeah,
like
wouldn't
that.
it expand their
You know what I
ability
mean?
to monitor the
Yeah.
world? Yeah.
100%. And then you got citizens doing national intelligence jobs
Essentially.
for,
Yeah.
you know, because they think that they're looking for UFOs, but they're helping with national intelligence and national security, and they don't even know it.
I forgot to ask
So
you,
it's just one of my opinions.
Sixes, did you have a chance to see those videos that I sent you?
Yeah, I checked them out. Yeah.
Listen, we'll do a little bit of a preview. Is this the face of Bigfoot? So we have an investigation going, and I just, for those that are Patreon supporters, I just uploaded 4 videos that are the money shots from Todd Standing's documentary Discovering Bigfoot. And I took the footage, I zoomed in, I increased the contrast or the color saturation, enhanced it as much as I could. And we're going to be doing a full-blown investigation into Todd Standing's alleged face of Bigfoot. Is this the face of Bigfoot, or is this an elaborate, fantastical hoax?
Yeah, it's
Also, yeah, what do you think of the footage, Sixth Sense? You've seen it.
the eyes looked very, very weird. You know, I mean, if that was a mask, it would have had to been something, extremely Hollywood. Because the way that it was so close to the eyes, I mean, if it was a mask, I mean, it was definitely looked natural to me. I mean, I don't know that they are real. I did look at them, and
let's look at this photo before you decide, though, because here is the face of Bigfoot in one of the money shots, and here is somebody did an analysis of Todd Standing's face and the face of Bigfoot. Look at that. It's the same face, Sixth Sense.
I kind of wondered that when I looked at it. Actually, I
don't want to give too much about our investigation. I don't want to give too much about our investigation away. That's going to take place next week sometime. It's going to be called "Is This the Face of Bigfoot?" And I'm a little worried though, because I think that Todd Standing is going to copyright claim or strike us for using that footage. But to me, it's fair use, because if this is truly an unknown hominid species, this would be huge news. This would be ground-changing, world-changing event. I would think we should be allowed to use that and talk about it and analyze it. So I've got legal letters standing by. We're gonna show the footage. I don't think people should have to buy his documentary to see this footage and to decide whether they think it's real or not.
I mean,
how do you copyright Bigfoot? I mean, if that was the case, Harry and the Hendersons would have the copyright.
They do, actually. That's a work of fiction.
I almost thought it looked
it's a great movie.
Too real. I mean, the detail was incredible. I mean, enough to zoom up. I mean, granted, look, optical zoom is way, way better than digital. Digital zoom is it's just zooming up pixels. You're not actually increasing it. Which I'm never a fan. When I take pictures, I love the optical zoom. The digital zoom, I shut that shit out. There's no need for it. And I thought that the detail was so incredible.
It's almost too good to be true, though. It's too good to be true.
What's this?
And by the way, that first shot that I just previewed and showed everybody, that's the best one. There are some others that look really, to me, I mean, I built puppets my whole life. There's some others that look like a puppet head on a stick, because there's no blinking for some of the other shots. You're talking about, you're watching this so-called, ape-like creature for 30 or 40 seconds and it doesn't blink once. To me, that's a dead giveaway. So, and there was some other stuff. No.
Cam or
like a GoPro, I would think.
Oh, okay, okay.
And also there is another issue, which is that Jeff Meldrum, the famous anthropologist, and he's into Bigfoot, he is in the documentary, and I would think that if you're going to have this kind of footage, and this guy that has a PhD and is an anthropologist and extremely interested in Bigfoot, that you would sit him down, show him the footage, and say, "Do you think this is real? Do you think this is genuine?" And he didn't do that in the film. And so I reached out to Jeff Meldrum today. I was kind of surprised. I got his phone number and left. It's him on the voicemail saying I can't get my phone right now. So I've asked him, I want him to comment. He was in the documentary. Does he think this is real footage, or does he think this is a hoax, right? I'd like to know that, because I think that Todd Standing was using him to kind of sell the film. Like, here, a PhD is in my film. This must be real. But he doesn't say it's real.
Remember that national, and I can't remember their name, there was a National Bigfoot Association or something like that, and they ended up getting caught because they were staging all the footage. Remember they had a piece of his fur and they had him in a freezer, and it was South Carolina. I don't know where it was.
Actually, there's a guy named Rick Dyer, and Rick Dyer was involved in 2 separate Bigfoot hoaxes. We're going to cover those too, because they are beautiful hoaxes. First, they got a Bigfoot suit and they filled it with like chicken parts and guts and shit and like livers. And then they threw it in a freezer and froze it. And they had a bunch of different Bigfoot researchers fooled. They would take them and show the thing in the freezer. They were on CNN. They held press conferences. It all turned out to be a Bigfoot suit inside a freezer. That's Rick Dyer hoax number 1. And then Rick Dyer hoax number 2 was even better. He waited a couple of years. Then he decided to tell everybody that he shot a Bigfoot, and he got this big trailer and put this fake Bigfoot body under glass, and he was running around at shopping malls, and you could pay $5 to go in and see the Bigfoot creature he shot. But then the guy who made the dummy for him came out and busted him. Great story. And the guy still swears. No, I really didn't. Then he started those excuses. No, I did shoot a real Bigfoot, but for security reasons, we made a duplicate. And we put a duplicate, a facsimile, in the display case. But we've got the real one. And someday we're going to show scientists the real one. Sure, he has. That was like 5 years ago. He hasn't done that yet.
Look how Wiki lists them, hoaxer. That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it just says hoaxer.
There was a show Discovery did recently. They did it over quarantine. It was a guy and the girl, and they went in the Kentucky mountains. And I used to go 4-wheeling up there where they were doing their Bigfoot in Harlan on Black Mountain. It's crazy, dude. I mean, those mountains are spooky, but there's no Bigfoot in those mountains. I can tell you.
Look at this fake ass. Look at this fake ass
like
Bigfoot.
The trails
they
were walking on 4-wheeler trails and stuff up there, pretending like they were hiking through the mountains up there, dude. It was. I mean, I saw the mountain, I knew where it was exactly. I've been there.
Wasn't it in Dyer? He was taking donations or something for research into it, or going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What
he was taking PayPal donations. He had a GoFundMe, I think. Yeah, look at this. This was
the guy and the girl. The chick was a doctor, like a skeptic, and he kind of changed her mind.
This looks like Captain Caveman from the cartoons when we were kids. Crazy. And here's the first hoax. Here's the first hoax with the freezer, with the Bigfoot suit in a freezer.
Is that the dude that had the head? Mm-hmm. The one that
made national
headlines. No, that's a different guy. That's a different guy.
Yeah, that made the national headlines. I remember seeing that. I was like, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that don't even look real, man. At least I've never seen
this one. I remember the guy that had the frozen head that's on like every Discovery Bigfoot show.
At least Standings one was. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. At least Standings was a little bit more believable looking. This one just looks ridiculous. I mean,
it does look ridiculous, yeah.
It's horrible.
You know what's funny? Sixth Sense. There's a guy, and I know a friend of mine that I used to work with. We sat right next to each other in this cubicle corporate office. While this Rick Dyer scam was going on, I was watching Rick Dyer videos every day and cursing and bitching under my breath, like, this son of a bitch, look at this fake shit. I can't believe this guy's making all this money with this stupid hoax. Yeah. It's so fake. And the guy next to me, he started getting into it too and following it because it was so ridiculous. The guy's running around with this big trailer with see the body of Bigfoot painted on the side of it and all of this stuff. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I mean, go ahead, buddy.
That alien from the moon, you know, that Asian chick that they found, it kind of looks like that Bigfoot.
Yeah,
that Bigfoot dude kind of looks like
maybe they're related.
You know what I'm talking about? You remember that hoax where they found the chick on the moon and the Asian chick with 3 boobs or whatever?
They did a great job on that though, because listen, I talked to somebody that worked
buildings and everything.
I showed that footage to somebody that actually worked on the Apollo moon landers, and he said whoever did that really did their research, because they showed them inside the moon lander, like, and all the buttons were in the right place and everything was historically looked right. So whoever did that did a great job on that. But the actual alien dummy looked hokey as shit. And it looked wax. It looked like it was made out of wax.
It did.
Yeah, it didn't sell.
It was wild.
Well, there was people that fell for it, though. I mean, I don't remember how many.
They had those little buildings, those little glass buildings that they were walking to.
Yeah.
Here I see from the Daily Mail, big fraud, man.
Better than Dan Burrish.
Let's look at this. Big fraud. Man who raked in $60,000 charging public to see the body of a Bigfoot admits the corpse is a hoax made from camel hair and latex, just like the scam he pulled in 2008.
He wasn't done.
But, yeah.
He's doing a Wilcock here, trying a new scam.
60K.
Once one fails.
Damn. Back then, that's like 90K now, man.
Yep.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Used car salesman. He's a used car salesman. That makes the whole hoax even funnier. Rick Dyer with the body of Bigfoot on display in Houston. Dyer claimed that he shot and killed the Sasquatch he called Hank in San Antonio in September 2012. He has admitted that it is not true now, and Hank is not really Bigfoot. Oh, that's so great. It's just great.
God. It's like the traditional Yeti. It's like a Yeti in the north.
Oh, it's so hokey.
They call it a little bit different depending on where they are in the world. So,
yeah, and this is some of the pictures.
There was a dude, Yeti stuff. There was a dude on Joe Rogan recently that climbed. He did a documentary where he climbed a bunch of these crazy tall mountains, and he got oxygen deprived. And he said he saw a Yeti, and everybody in his group saw a Yeti, and they were all oxygen deprived, and they all saw the same thing.
Well, that's interesting.
Why does the Daily Mail got this as Dr. Christopher Dyer and not Rick Dyer? I mean, I don't know. Why is that? It's the same type of story.
Yeah, I have no idea. But that's just two of my favorite hoaxes from the same guy. You know, and the fact that like a lot of people that were into Bigfoot still believed him the second time, even after he got caught the first time. It's just stupid, right?
Doesn't make
it's
any
like
sense.
People still having Richard Doty on saying he still got good stuff to say. Like Fessler.
As soon as he got on Gaia TV, I said, well, I can't listen to anything that he says ever again.
He started talking about Wendell Stevens is one of my best friends. I said, oh man, these poor people, they don't know nothing about Wendell Stevens. He talked about Wendell Stevens on Fessler's show. I mean, I was just like,
was it Gaia?
And Fessler sat there, and Fessler sat there like an idiot, not going. You know that guy was a twice convicted child molester, right? You know.
Yeah. He wanted to hear about them damn tall whites and shit.
Was it Gaia? Some years ago. Was it Gaia that had some investments in on the Epic Times? Because all of their articles obviously supported what Gaia said, regardless of how many times it was debunked. Do you remember that? That was some 5 years ago, maybe?
I didn't know that, and I think that Doty talked about it on Fessler's show about how the Epic Times and Gaia worked together on stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until he said that.
They were working together in some way or fashion. I can't remember exactly, but I always thought that was weird. How many of these people are working with these specialized sites, these sites that obviously promote a bunch of bullshit, I mean, how many are actually donating to them saying, hey, let this story slide, here's a
Yeah.
little bonus if
Probably a
you get a
lot.
lot of views.
Mark
I
is
don't know.
asking, what does the panel think of the Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot film? I always wished and wanted to believe it was real, even though that one guy passed several lie detector tests saying that he was the guy in the suit, and then there was somebody from Morris Costumes who came out and said that was my suit. I sold it to them. I still want to believe it's real. I do want to believe it's real.
I think it's a hoax. You can see the way.
I do think it's a hoax. Yeah,
there were so many people doing reviewing the video, and overall, I mean, or on the majority chose, hey, look at this, really can't be real. I mean, if that thing was that big and that tall, it wouldn't be walking like it is or something. I mean, they totally went over inch by inch by inch of that film, and I gotta agree.
Well,
I don't think it looked legit. I didn't at the time. I didn't think it did.
Yeah, well, at that time, Bigfoot was in, and so were alien abductions. Look at Travis Walton.
Which somebody brought up the other night about how Hollywood gets in on this and stuff, and I agree with that. I think the reason why UFO or ufology is what it is today is because of Hollywood. I mean, they get this thing inserted in your head saying it must be alien if you can't identify it. That's nonsense. I mean, it's more than likely human, but they get this in people's mind saying, just assume that it's an alien automatically without any proof at all.
Yeah.
And I've always had a problem with that kind of thing. And
yeah, and Andrew Bus is saying, Truth Seekers, I don't care if Bigfoot is real or not. I find it funny. It brings me a lot of joy. Me too. I love Bigfoot. I have since I was a little kid. There's just something about it. I just like it.
I still listen to Bigfoot, podcast stories.
You can probably be sure that there's species out there that we just haven't found.
Well, just a few years ago, we discovered a new species of giant chimpanzee that they never knew existed.
Yeah.
So who knows what's out there? We don't know, and that's an awful big animal for them. It's like it's like halfway between a gorilla and a chimpanzee in size and weight. They're huge. They're monstrous, and they just discovered that like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, that Survivor guy goes out there and believes in Bigfoot.
Yeah, he did a whole show. Actually, Joe Rogan busted his balls because he used Todd Standing.
Yeah,
Joe Rogan said, Todd Standing, even Bigfoot people think he's full of shit. How bad is that? Bigfoot people believe a lot of stuff. They believe that guy's full of shit.
Did he treat him like Tom? He treated him like Tom DeLonge, but still, it's you never know. But what I was saying earlier about the guy that hiked, he was insinuating it was something with oxygen deprivation, is what he believed.
It could have been, yeah. They could have hallucinated.
People believe the Sherpas and a lot of those people believe that as when you've not had enough oxygen and stuff like that, that's when you see them. It's kind of like
you run viciously for so long before you can start feeling your head getting light. I mean that's just physiology.
Yeah, he said you can see all kinds of stuff out there. He said it's to hallucinate.
Well, any place that remote has a possibility of having unknown things there.
Yeah. It's almost like what was that down in Texas?
Oxygen. I mean, when you're at 25,000, 26, 28,000 feet, and you don't have oxygen. I mean, you're up there.
What was that wolf-like thing down in Texas a couple of years back? I mean, I'm thinking couple of years from me is like 5 years. It was like a jackal or something like that, and they were saying that it was one of those an experiment gone wrong. I can't even think. What's the one that has all the animals mixed in? God, I can't think of it.
There was one that they thought was a chupacabra. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
Extinct.
There was in Texas or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, they went ahead and did studies on it, and it was just like a local wolf or something, or a fox, or I can't remember exactly. Jackal, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't what they were saying it was, and
you never know. There's more things.
They were drinking the fluoride in the water.
Yeah, there's more things under heaven and earth, right? We never know what's out there.
Oh, there's, and that's kind of the thing. Whenever I think about space exploration, I think, why haven't they explored our oceans? I mean, they're like 10%, not even 10% explored.
Oh,
We know less about our own ocean than we do about the moon or Mars for that matter. And I always found that was weird. Granted, I understand the dangers of going so deep and stuff, but just the other day somebody had posted, and I seen in the news, a UFO found on Google Earth just off the coast of Peru, I believe. And and it's circular, there's no doubt, and I think it was 7 meters wide or something like that. The thing is it definitely looks round, very, very round. I mean, how much of what's under the ocean do we not know that's there? I mean, species alone, I mean, there's probably millions, across the whole world, or some insane amount. I mean, we're constantly finding new creatures every year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those giant chimpanzees.
They produce their own light, and it's so cool.
Yeah,
the ocean's another one.
Yeah,
we have no idea what's
smaller than looking up.
We have no idea what is down in the deepest depths of the ocean. No idea whatsoever.
Oh, that's right. Truth Searcher here says, "No, Nye, the science guy doesn't even have a degree in science." You're correct. I think it's in marketing or something like that, or what. And how? Then that's why I question when you see something like him on TV, quoted as the science guy. The guy doesn't even have a degree in science at all. I don't believe what Hollywood's showing us. If it's something that
Bill
says,
Gates, come on, Bill Gates pushing vaccines and
we're not talking about that stuff here.
Yeah, we don't talk about that here.
What's he got? Sorry, I'm just saying. Since we're talking about people with fake degrees or what have you, or
yeah, it's relevant. What is that guy? I just think it's funny. Yeah, we have the CEO of the company that marketed the operating system that has the most viruses on planet Earth is somehow going to help me with human viruses. I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's it. Like these celebrities that are all of a sudden now they're physicians and now they're really. Do you even have any clue? Do you have any education that even qualifies you?
Now.
Yeah, and I've always found that was weird, and whenever I've seen that, when a celebrity speaks up about something, especially political, I'm like, yeah, what do you got to gain from this? Because that's who you're supporting, and I don't believe them celebrities at all. Everything's a Kardashian moment.
And they get their news off Twitter.
Jesus.
They get their news.
Well, we just passed the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to throw you people out of here. Okay. We're going to wrap things up. I appreciate you coming on to the panel, save the day with a missing guest. And actually, I'm glad we did this because I was just gonna call it, but we learned to roll with the punches here. These things happen. I hope the audience understands the guest didn't make it, so we talked about other stuff tonight, and still put out well, I would say it was a decent show, but 6 Cents was here, so that just ruined it for a lot of people, right? No, thank you, guys. I'm going to throw you out of here. You guys have a good night. Man. Have a good night.
Steven, is there a date on when you're going to have, or a time schedule when you're going to have Todd standing?
No. He has not agreed. He has not agreed to an interview. Okay. I am going to just go through his footage and do an analysis of it all, and show what I believe is really in the footage versus what he's showing or purporting it to be.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we're doing. And I'm trying to get Jeff Meldrum and that other PhD scientist who was in the documentary to chime in on whether they believe that footage is a genuine, real, live animal or, human animal hybrid, whatever. Is it a real creature or is it a hoax? Is it masks? Is it guy in a suit?
Sometimes you got to do it that way. Hey, Steven, thank you for allowing me to speak and ruin your show.
Yeah, you're always welcome here.
All right, dude. We'll catch you later.
All right, thank you. 6 Cents. So, again, I apologize that our guest tonight, L.A. Marzulli, did not make it. He double booked himself. He's a very busy guy. I understand. I forgive him. These things happen. He said, I just talked to him on the phone while we were on the break, and he said, call me tomorrow and we'll definitely schedule something. I'll make sure, this will be the third time is the charm, I guess. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to thank our kind and generous benefactors. This is a viewer-supported show. A few ways that you can support the show is to sign up on Patreon. I just posted the money shots, the digitally enhanced money shots from this Bigfoot documentary, Discovering Bigfoot, on Patreon. So you get a sneak peek at that before we air the actual show that will include those videos and my analysis of them. It's sort of a backstage pass being on our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Everything we do here, I try to post it early on Patreon so that you guys get a backstage pass and an advance screening of what we're working on. You also get my music. All of my music I put on Patreon for a long time before it becomes public. And we do a monthly show journal. Sometimes we do Patreon-only streams and more bonus content for as little as $1 a month. The other way, of course, is to throw a couple of bucks in the hat. You can either make a PayPal donation, Cash App, or use the Super Chats down there in the live chat. We read every single Super Chat. We read every single PayPal donation. Just be sure to add a note. And when you add a note, give us your chat room user ID and any message that you'd like us to read on air for you, and we will do that. And I want to thank every one of the kind and generous benefactors. We have initials AW with a kind and generous 10 Great Britain pound. Great Britain pound. PayPal donation. No message, but initials AW. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity and your support. We had from Bex, we had 1 second. Let me check this. Bex sent a kind and generous $8.20 PayPal donation. So thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your continued support of the show. It is much, much appreciated, friends. The other way that you can support the show here is, this is my mantra. What am I always saying? Oh, like and share these videos with your friends, your family, your coworkers, complete and total strangers. I don't care. No. If you know somebody that may be interested in the strange and esoteric and mysterious subjects that we cover here, then please, by all means, do go on over and copy and paste this video and send it to some of your friends who may be similarly interested. If you're interested in this weird shit, you probably got weird friends that are interested in it. Also, be sure, if you haven't already, to smash the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you too will know when we're having a live chat. You see, we take comments and questions from the live chat. We have a very interactive show here, and you are most welcome. If you happen to be listening in audio podcast land, you're missing half the fun. We welcome you to come on over to YouTube where we do the live tapings for the podcast. Put Truth Seekers, one word, into the YouTube search bar. Look for me, the weirdo with the sunglasses. That's me, your host. Smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you too can come here and be a part of the show. Don't just listen to the show. Don't just watch the show. Come here and be a part of the show. You are most welcome. What else can I say? I'm always happy when there's an audience. I can apologize again for this is the second time we've tried this that it didn't work. Last time, Mr. Marzulli canceled, and we said we would reschedule it for tonight. This time, he double booked himself somehow. So, when he apologized, he doesn't have a secretary. Sometimes, things get screwed up. No worries. I'm determined to get this interview. Well, the third time's a charm. I will try to book that with him tomorrow and let you guys know when he'll be here. Next week, we've got a bang-up show week for you. I've got a lot of cool things planned, a lot of production videos that we're going to be debuting. And also, tonight, my friends, or you know what, we're going to do that tomorrow. We're going to do a midnight hour show tomorrow sometime. I'm going to be heading to the cabin as long as I'm feeling better. I have a feeling I'm getting some kind of weird cold or flu thing or something that's causing this headache this morning. I don't know. But if I feel up to it, I'm going to the cabin tomorrow, but we're going to do a midnight hour show, which is a replay But the next Midnight Hour show up in the queue talks about Tom DeLonge, TTSA, and the money grab that they did. And it was recorded several years ago, and it's still very, very relevant. And I think, especially from a historical standpoint, it's very, very interesting, and we should all enjoy that. So you're welcome to come and visit us tomorrow here in the live chat for a Midnight Hour show, which is a replay, but I'm always in the live chat as well to take comments or questions or answer questions. You are most welcome. So that's all I got for you tonight, friends. What else can I say? Always happy when there's an audience. Thank you so much for coming here tonight and being a part of mine. The journey continues here, and I've got to tell you, I'm feeling re-energized and looking forward to many things. I've been wanting to do this Todd Standing, is this the face of Bigfoot thing for a while, but it's very difficult for me to go through all this footage, enhance it, try to turn up the contrast, get more detail out of it. I think I did a great job on the actual footage. We're going to be doing that next week, as well as a few more surprises. We're going to be debuting a brand new character here. Yeah, a brand new character. And doing a sketch about a former Pentagon employee who may or may not have studied UFOs. Who knows, So, always happy when there's an audience. Thank you for coming here tonight and spending some time here with me. No place that I would rather be than right here with you. So, until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambian. Good night, and God bless all of you.